Welcome to Florida, the real-life GTA 6, where the world's most dangerous animals, people, and weather collide with retirees, beaches, and pickleball. Of course, we can't forget to mention the infamous Florida Man, the state's unofficial mascot. Known for making outrageous headlines, you won't believe some of the things they've done.
A 24-year-old man, this man right here, accused of throwing an alligator through a drive-through window.
Top that off with hurricanes, flash floods, and deadly heat waves, and we need a survival guide. It takes a particular type of person to handle all that Florida throws at you, so today we'll be breaking down how to survive Florida. Which Florida animal can kill you with just one bite? What's the craziest Florida Man headline? And which Florida storm cost $113 billion in damages? Before we soak up Florida's sunny and scary lands, make sure to like and subscribe for more survival videos. With a population of over 22 million, hundreds of miles of beaches, and a nightlife known for its glitz and glamour, Florida is the place for anyone who likes to have a good time. And for families, Disney World is the happiest place on earth. Ask any Super Bowl winning quarterback.
I'm going to Disney World.
However, visiting Disney World isn't the full experience of the Sunshine State, which is home to alligators, panthers, snakes.
Enjoy Florida.
In South Florida, Everglades National Park covers 1.5 million acres of wetlands. It provides habitat for thousands of species, some of whom are invasive or even endangered. And then there's the weather. For 6 months of the year, Florida has their hurricane season, which destroys homes and kills hundreds year after year. And as if the storms weren't bad enough, crime runs rampant here too. There's a reason why it's called Vice City.
Say hello to my little friend.
Florida is a pretty multicultural state, ranking 7th across the entire United States. There's a mix of white, Latino, African American, Asian, Jewish, Native American, and more. This diversity brings with it all types of cuisine, art, and ways of life to Florida. However, as with any large population, there's bound to be some crime, although some is an understatement. When it comes to gun and criminal violence, Florida is the 5th most dangerous state in the US. State laws and politics come into play here. With more relaxed gun laws and easy access to firearms, statistically, you're far more likely to get shot than most other states. It's a good idea to watch your step and not to get into any confrontations. With Florida's Stand Your Ground law, if someone feels they're in danger, they can shoot first and ask questions later. In Miami-Dade County, your odds of being a victim of a violent crime are about 1 in 43.
Florida.
The county also has high poverty levels, over 40%. This, on top of gang affiliations and, of course, narcotic crime, are all recipes for disaster. Speaking of recipes, bath salts should never be a part of your cooking routine. For some Floridians, however, it's how they start their day. Back in 2012, a man ingested bath salts and it pretty much turned him into a zombie. Let's just say it didn't end well. This is where the Florida Man comes into play. What started out as a series of outrageous headlines has become a meme and even a challenge. Like Florida Man arrested for allegedly tossing alligator into Wendy's drive-through window, and Florida Man wearing "No seriously, I have drugs" t-shirt arrested for drug possession. The Florida Man challenge is simple. Google Florida Man with your date of birth and look for the craziest headline. Shouldn't be too hard. Just everyday Florida things, you know? But it makes you wonder, what's in their water? Alligators, sharks, crocodiles, and Burmese pythons? It depends on where you go for a dip in Florida, but if we're talking about the Everglades, you'll find all of the above. The Everglades are a top-rated tourist attraction with over 1 million visitors every year. But there's a high level of danger for anyone who dares travel into the swampy lands. Let's start with the alligators. More than 200,000 are estimated to live in the waters of the Everglades. However, they can also be found throughout Florida's freshwaters, and they can be a serious threat to all citizens. The odds of being attacked by a gator in Florida is roughly 1 in 3.1 million, so luckily, they're in your favor. Still, on average, there are 8 unprovoked gator attacks per year, requiring serious medical attention. And with a bite force of 2,000 psi, you best keep your distance. All in all, if you do encounter a gator, here's what you need to know to survive. Stay calm. There's an old myth that you should run in a zigzag pattern, but that's not true. You'll run faster in a straight line, and with gators' top speed on land of 17 kilometers an hour, you don't have much to worry about. Now, if you're in the water, you'll want to try and submerge yourself quietly so as not to alert them. Then, quickly swim to shore and get as far away as possible. But gators aren't your only aquatic concern. Sharks call the Everglades home too. They're also found just off the coast and in deeper waters. Tiger, hammerhead, and most commonly sandbar sharks are found in Florida waters. However, bull sharks, known for being one of the most aggressive in the state, are also lurking around. These guys can weigh over 680 kilograms and reach lengths of more than 4 meters. Last year, the US was responsible for 36 of the 69 reported shark attacks worldwide. Of those 36 attacks, Florida led the country with 16. Unsurprisingly, you want to avoid a shark attack at all costs. To do this, if you think the shark is going to pass you by, make yourself small. But if a shark has its sights set on you, make yourself as big as possible. It may back off. You could punch it in the nose if you're attacked, but if you miss and hit its teeth, well, that's no good. Instead, you want to aim for the gills. This is a shark's most sensitive spot, and it'll cause it to think twice about attacking or may result in it retreating. Now, believe it or not, sharks and gators may not be your biggest concern in the waters of Florida. The box jellyfish, although small, can be incredibly deadly. Measuring up to 30 centimeters in diameter, some can be as tiny as just a few centimeters. But their tentacles can reach up to 3 meters, and one sting from these guys can cause significant pain, paralysis, and in some cases, death. Box jellyfish aren't even native to Florida. They somehow found their way here from Australia and have been thriving. If you're stung by one, you need to get medical attention immediately. Their venom can quickly cause severe damage. The sooner you're treated, the better your chance of survival. Speaking of invasive species, you may find one of these guys slithering through the Everglades. This is the Burmese python. And although they're native to Southeast Asia, they're causing severe problems in Florida. It's believed they were initially imported in the 90s and were bred as pets. However, powerful hurricanes may have displaced some of the world's largest snakes, and now they're taking over. They're not venomous, but they are huge, reaching lengths of about 3 meters, and in rare cases, over 5.5 meters. Using their long, powerful bodies, they wrap themselves around their prey and suffocate them. With the main focus on smaller mammals such as raccoons, bobcats, and rabbits, if the opportunity strikes, so will the Burmese python. They've even been seen eating alligators whole. Wow, nature is metal. Like most things in Florida swamps, Burmese pythons can certainly kill you. But you can rest easy knowing there haven't been any recorded deaths from wild Burmese pythons. Captive ones? Well, that's a different story. And surprisingly, they aren't the snake you should fear most. Well, statistically speaking.
She thought she got whacked by a tree branch on the back end, and she turned around, saw the snake, said, "Oh crap, I just got bit," and knew to call 911 immediately.
The eastern diamond-backed rattlesnake is one of the state's most dangerous. But the good news is they're not aggressive and only attack when they feel threatened. Bad news? Just a single bite can lead to an excruciating death. Ugh! I hate snakes!
Doctors administered 58 vials of anti-venom, telling the family it's the most they've ever done for a snake bite.
In Florida alone, there are about 300 venomous snake bites per year. Thankfully, 99% aren't fatal, thanks to modern medicine. After watching all this, you might be wondering, who would want to live among these deadly creatures? Ice hockey fans, that's who.
That extra little stick handle.
The Florida Panthers are a killer team, but they're also a deadly predator on the endangered species list. Seeing a panther in the wild is rare. It's believed there are only 100 to 120 remaining. Unfortunately, due to habitat loss, thanks to the state building more developments and highways, they're almost extinct. Although they don't pose much of a threat to humans, they are curious creatures, and have a tendency to sometimes sit and watch someone until they get bored.
All of a sudden, I just get this intense feeling that something is staring at me. So really quick, I just look over and there he is, just staring me out.
We need to remember that these are wild animals, and they can and will attack under the right circumstances. To avoid being attacked, give the panther space. Don't make it feel trapped. You'll also want to appear big and menacing. Wave your arms, stand on a rock, even throw things at it. But do not run. This could lead to a chase, which wouldn't end well for you. If the panther does attack, fight back. Since they don't see humans as prey and feel threatened by us, they likely won't stick around long for a fight. Bears are a different story. And yes, they have bears in Florida. The Florida black bear is the only bear found in the state, and it seems that its most common encounters involve dogs. Since 2006, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission has reported a total of 39 violent incidences with bears. Of those, 25 involve dogs. Just like with the panther, habitat loss has negatively affected Florida's bear population and is likely the leading cause of increased interactions with humans. Weighing in up to 204 kilograms and with the ability to run up to 56 kilometers an hour, these guys can be scary.
A wild bear attack caught on camera here. This Daytona Beach homeowner fighting off a black bear who went after his dogs.
But dogs aren't the only ones being attacked. Sometimes the territorial animals will go full WrestleMania right in your own backyard. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night to that. Florida, am I right? Black bears are known to do a bluff charge, and it's exactly what it sounds like, a test. If you show them you're not scared, they'll likely go on their way. Some other survival tips include talking to the bear and making yourself as tall as possible. If the bear isn't backing down and decides to come at you, fight back. Use rocks, sticks, and even your bare hands. Little joke there for you. But seriously, only do this if they're attacking you. Otherwise, standing your ground will likely intimidate them enough to avoid you. Size doesn't always matter though. I mean, it depends on who you ask. But when it comes to animals, you've got to look out for the little guys. Brown recluse spiders, South black widows, fire ants, kissing bugs, and mosquitoes all share one thing. They're small but deadly.
A brown recluse spider is believed to have killed a Polk County man. The spider bit him last summer, but he thought the bite would heal on its own. Instead, it landed him in the hospital for months at a time with uncontrollable pain.
Not native to Florida, the brown recluse spider has some of the deadliest venom in the state. If you're bitten, you'll see red rings form around a black blister. You might also get chills, fever, vomiting, and brown urine. But the real spiders to look out for are the black widow, especially the females. They're known to be more aggressive, and one nasty bite can lead to muscle twitching, spasms, vomiting, headaches, and death. If you see a bite from either one of these killers, get to a hospital ASAP. It could be the difference between life and death. Spiders aren't the only tiny creatures whose bite you should worry about. Just ask John Blanchard, who had a scary encounter with 2 fire ants.
Blanchard was bit by 2 ants doing yard work.
I didn't think nothing of it, so a Band-Aid on it.
It turns out the fire ants didn't actually infect the man. Instead, their bite or sting led to a reaction. Through his scratching, he contracted cellulitis, a flesh-eating infection. If left untreated, it can lead to amputation of the infected area, and in rare cases, death. Fire ant colonies can be as deep as 1.5 meters, with mounds climbing up to 40 centimeters above ground. Their bites are painful, but their venomous stings are what you really need to worry about. It feels as if your skin's been set on fire. Those with severe allergic reactions can suffer from serious chest pain, nausea, swelling, and in some cases, you guessed it, death. The kissing bug is another one to look out for. Although they aren't dangerous, the diseases they carry can be. Especially Chagas disease, which spreads from their poop. It can be fatal. And if you're wondering how it got its kissing name, well, these guys aren't known for smooching, but they are known to bite people on the face while they're sleeping. Ugh. Okay, we still need to cover the state's most dangerous animal, the mosquito.
Florida health officials are warning of an uptick in mosquito-borne virus that causes brain swelling in humans, and 30% of people who contract it die.
Eastern equine encephalitis is the name of the disease which can cause seizures and behavioral changes, as well as vomiting, headaches, and in 30% of cases, death. It's no surprise given that mosquitoes are the world's deadliest animal, responsible for 700,000 deaths around the globe. In Florida, mosquitoes have been responsible for spreading malaria, West Nile disease, and dengue fever, all of which can be deadly if not treated. Now, even if you manage to avoid all these critters and escaped any dangerous animals or criminals along the way, you're not out of the woods yet, because Florida is full of surprises, especially when it comes to the weather. Billions of dollars in damages, countless injuries, and hundreds of deaths are, unfortunately, a very common occurrence during Florida's annual hurricane season, which peaks between August and October. Hurricane Ian in 2022 was responsible for 149 deaths and cost the state around $113 billion in damages. That makes it the third costliest hurricane in the history of the United States. It's reported that the state has been hit by more than 500 cyclones and tropical storms dating back to the 1500s. Storms that have killed more than 10,000 people and caused over $1.3 trillion in damages. The majority of the deaths were due to drowning, while others were attributed to lack of medical care, trees falling, and disease. The key to surviving hurricanes is to avoid them altogether. Listen for hurricane warnings and evacuate if advised to do so. If that's not an option and you can't leave, secure your home. Get plywood, steel, or aluminum panels to board up your windows and doors. Keep enough non-perishable food and medications for at least a week. You don't know how long the water and electricity will be out. The most important thing is preparing for disaster before it starts. Now, if the weather doesn't kill you here, the ocean might. Riptides are responsible for hundreds of fatalities every year in Florida. Powerful waters can pull you from the shore, and fighting them will only tire you out. If you're caught in a riptide, let it carry you until the force weakens. Then swim parallel to the shore until you can get to safety. Do not try to swim straight back to shore. You won't be able to do it. To avoid riptides, listen to local law enforcement and lifeguards and watch for any warnings along the beach. Heat-related illnesses, like heat stroke, heat exhaustion, and even skin cancer, is also a danger in the Sunshine State. Between 2010 and 2020, there were 215 heat-related deaths in Florida. Again, listen to local news stations and government agencies for heat warnings. Drink lots of water, wear sunscreen, and get out of the sun and into a cool, shaded area if you're feeling ill. If you haven't figured it out by now, Florida's not as safe as it looks in the travel commercials. The animals, the weather, even the people could cost you a steep hospital bill, maybe even your life. But all jokes aside, the Sunshine State can be a beautiful place, just as long as you know what to look out for and how to navigate the danger that comes with it. With the bad comes the good. Theme parks, good food, vibrant culture, and all the sunshine you could ask for. Don't forget the oranges. And for those of you who watched and didn't think it was so dangerous, well, think you could handle the Amazon jungle alone? We'll test your limits on another episode of How to Survive.